Today we're going to be doing the traditional method of multiplication. This is the method that most of your parents know how to do. It's even the method that I was taught when I was in school. The traditional method, in order to do it successfully every time, you have to have a grasp of number sense. You have to understand that even though you're saying, say, 9 times 5, it may be that you're really doing 90 times 5. So you have to have an understanding of place value and what each digit's value is. You're not going to be able to see it like you saw in the box method where you actually broke it into its place value or expanded form. Or it's kind of like the lattice method where you have to just know that you're doing 900 times 50 even though you're multiplying 9 times 5 to get that place. So let's look at some examples. We'll start with a 2-digit by a 1-digit. In the traditional method, this is when you will line up your numbers and you have to make sure they're lined up by place value. This is my ones place and I'm multiplying by a 1-digit number which is in the ones place. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say 3 ones times 8 ones, and I know that's 24, but I cannot have 2 digits in a 1-digit's place, so I'm going to put the 4 down and regroup that 2 sets of 10. So I'm regrouping 20. Now I'm going to disregard this right now, but I'm going to come back to it. 4 times 8 is 32, and it's really 40 times 8 is 320. But for the sake of just getting the answer down, we think 4 times 8, 32. Then I have to add in the 2 tens I regrouped. So instead of having 32 tens, I now have 34 tens. And that would be my product. This same process is repeated over and over and over, whether you're multiplying by a 1-digit number, a 2-digit number, or whatever. So we're going to do a few more to practice. We're going to do a 2-digit by 2-digit now. And we'll do 37 times 86. Once again, we line up. I've got my ones places lined up and my tens places lined up. First step, I'm going to pretend that 8 doesn't exist, and I'm just going to be looking at 37 times 6. Well, 7 ones times 6 ones, which is 7 times 6, is 42. I can't have 42 in the ones place, so I regroup. 6 times 3 tens, which is 30, is 180 or 18. 18 plus 4 would be 22. Now I am done with the ones place. This is where I have to put down a 0 to hold my place value because I was multiplying by the ones, but now I'm multiplying by the tens. So putting a 0 in the ones place throws me into the tens place. That is the purpose of the 0. And I know some of you have heard that little phrase, drop a goose egg or whatever it is that you have. This right here holds place value. And remember, anything that I'm writing down, you should be writing down. You shouldn't just be watching, you should be writing down so you're practicing it as well. If I don't tell you to do it on the student side, just assume it's always on the teacher's side. Okay, now let's go on. And like I said, we're multiplying by the tens place now. 8 tens, which is 80, times 7 would be 560 or 56. Well, up here I already had a number. You have to get into the habit of marking that guy out so you don't try to use him again. This is where this traditional method gets so confusing because you got to remember what to do and what steps. So I said that 8 times 7 or 80 times 7 was 56 or 560, so I can't have 56 in my tens place, so I'm going to regroup and put the 5 up there. 8 times 3 is 24, plus that 5 I regrouped is 29. And then, once I have those two partial products, I'm going to add them to get my final product. 2 plus 0 is 2, 6 plus 2 is 8, 9 plus 2 is 11, regroup. And this is where a lot of kids forget when they regroup down here to add that in too, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So the product is 3,182. A lot of steps to remember, and if you don't have number sense, this is a very difficult method to use because it's putting you into a box and you're not able to think outside of that box. So let's try a 3-digit by a 2-digit. Step 1, we're not worried about that 2, which is really 20. We're only worried about the ones place. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 60, but I'm just going to think 5 times 6 is 30. I can't have 30 in this one place value spot, so I have to regroup the 3. 5 times 2 is 10, plus that 3 up there makes 13. Do you see how I kept my place value lined up? I kept my ones, my tens, my hundreds, and now I have a new place value spot, which is the thousands. So I am done with the 5 now. I am going to put that 0 in to hold the place value because now I'm multiplying by tens, and then I'm going to go through and multiply by tens. Careful not to forget to mark that guy out, erase him, whatever. Alright, 20 times 1 would be 20. Do you see how that works when we're really thinking 2 times 1, but because I put that 0, it was really 20 times 1, and it helped me keep the value that I needed. Now, 2 tens times 6 tens is going to be 12 tens, which is actually 120, but I have to regroup. So 6 times 2 is 12. That's where I got that 1 and that 2 from. Now I have 2 times 2, which is 4, but it's really 20 times 200, which is 4,000, plus 1 makes 5,000. When it's all said and done, I'm going to add up those partial products. 5 and 0 is 5, 0 and 2 is 2, 3 and 2 is 5, 1 and 5 is 6, so my product is 6,525. And I can use division to check myself on any multiplication problem because the inverse operation of multiplication is division, just like the inverse operation of addition is subtraction.